This is Secret Sunshine, a podcast about the folks who make the most of living on the Sunshine Coast. For over a decade, Dave Coyle's Antique Reproductions has been a retail fixture on the Sunshine Coast Highway. And now Dave and his wife, Jackie Lee Coyle, have closed it for good. I wonder if you could just take a second here, look around this space, just take it all in.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's amazing. And the building is old and quirky and weird, which really suited us. But I have affection for it. It's been great. I feel like I'm going out on a high. 22 years of retail, it's been a great chapter, but I'm looking forward to seeing what else I'm going to do.
Coyle's shop, a square, squat, wooden building, sits near the corner of Gibson's Way and Pratt Road. And within those old creaking walls, visitors and locals would come to see what furniture pieces Dave had made and offered for sale. To me, there was something about the store's personality that felt like it could only be a Sunshine Coast place. I think it's the way it mixed custom furniture with quirky housewares, thoughtful gifts and knickknacks, a corner stuffed with old windows, reclaimed bedposts, and more knobs and coat hooks than you'd ever possibly need. A shop filled equally with fancy things as well as utilitarian things. And if that contrast doesn't say coastal vibe to you, well, I don't know what does. Now the store sits locked up and empty. A new residential development will be built on this corner soon, so this old building's gotta go. But before Jackie Lee Coyle locked up one last time, we sat down in her shop to talk about her retail adventure that's come to an end, and how it can be both hard and easy to say goodbye. Today's episode, Jackie closes Coyles. This episode of Secret Sunshine is sponsored by Sunday Cider. Sunday Cider is the place that I go to when I'm in the mood for something more experimental and funky. They've got a solid range of ciders to taste, but for me, it's all about the bottles that combine cider with grapes, like the Twice as Nice Syrah. It's made with wild fermented BC apples and Okanagan Syrah grape skins. It gives the juice a kind of profile that I haven't tasted anywhere else. You'll hear from Clinton at the cidery a little later in the episode. For now, find links to Sunday Cider in the show notes or online at sundaycider.com.
It's sort of hard to know to end a retail store because Dave wasn't interested in selling the name. And so we didn't have anything to sell really. So it was just how do we sort of stop gracefully? And it's the fact that the building will be coming down.
Yeah.
It just feels like the universe sort of gave me permission.
Were you looking for permission?
Well, the building sold 5 years ago. And so the possibility has been a long time coming. This building is from the 50s, I think, and it's definitely at its end of life, and so we don't have heat. We don't have hot water. We have a lot of leaks. It's used to leak on my stuff. Well, it leaks on my stuff continuously for the past 11 years. So it's an old building.
I guess I'm trying to understand what it means that it's okay and great and you have a nice relationship with the building, and you also say it leaks on my stuff all the time. Why does that work for you?
That's my personality.
Yeah, say more about that.
I was born unknowingly optimistic. I don't find a problem with things most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's funny. I think this building is hilarious, to be honest. So this isn't the kind of thing that would stress me out. I felt bad at times for my staff, for sure, because when it's cold in here, they were cold, and
There's never been heat.
There's never been heat. No, this building has been pretty primitive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So after 11 years, I think it's still funny, but I'm also I'm ready. It feels ready. I feel ready.
Maybe you're the only one who thinks it's still funny.
Yeah, maybe.
Although I'm finding it pretty funny right now.
How do you not?
Yeah. When you're talking about stuff that leaks, has there ever been a real disaster where you came in? Tell me about a real disaster that's happened in here.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, when you're selling, pillows with feather fills, like that just, like it's wrecked a lot of my stuff, so.
Like, how do you mean you come in one morning or?
And the water finds a way, right? And so like the leak was here, and then all of a sudden the leak's here, and then all of a sudden the leak's there. Like it's crazy how unpredictable it would be.
It's funny, as you're describing it, I feel like you're describing someone's relationship with a ghost. Like, oh yeah, that's just the ghost.
Yeah.
It was in the parlor the other day, and now it's in the
And now he's here.
smoking room. And
Exactly. It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. And like, yeah. So, Jill, who's worked for us for, I'd say 21 years, she would just call us and say, oh, the leak is, like.
The leak is back.
It's been ghosting all of us. It's been haunting all of us.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, looking around, I'm going to guess there's 15% the same amount of stock as there might have been before?
Yeah, maybe.
So it's pretty empty.
It's really empty.
I mean,
yeah.
you can hear it on the tape, and I hope the listeners won't mind that it's a feature, not a bug of this interview.
It's a ghost.
Right? It's the ghost on the tape. But I wonder if, like, the last time you saw it this empty might have been when before you first opened.
And that has been probably my biggest, not regret, but the hardest part for me is because I've really taken a lot of pride in what the store looked like.
Yeah.
I loved how cute and groovy and quirky we were. So that was my hardest part, was like feeling like a bit embarrassed about how my store looks. I mean, I can't make this look good. You know what I mean? Like at this point, there's no zhuzhing.
Yeah.
So
the zhuzhing needs
the
zhuzhing.
zhuzhing is done.
Yeah.
And so I think that was probably my hardest part. And saying goodbye. Like, I've had people come in crying. I knew that people liked the store, but I didn't realize how much we meant to some people. It's surprising to me how many people have said to me, your store was the first place we came to when we moved here. Like I have a lot of those stories. A lot of people, like, I don't know, they associate my store with their Gibson story, like a lot of them, which is, I mean, it's such a huge compliment.
That never occurred to you? It never occurred to you that the footprint you have physically in this community had a big impact on the community itself?
No, not really. Like, I knew that people liked us. I mean, I've also had really bad imposter syndrome for the past 22 years. Like, I was never in retail. I've never done a day of retail in my life until we opened up the store across this road.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing, and it was never my interest or my passion or a thing that I'd ever did. And so, so basically for the past 22 years, I've sort of like a little bit apologetically run my store. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm doing what I would do, but I definitely wasn't doing what most people would do. Like, I've driven a few people crazy just with my lack of business sense, but it's just, I do my own little thing and I laugh about it. You know what I mean? Like,
and feel like an imposter the entire time?
Yes. Yeah. Well, a lot of the times.
That sounds like another ghost in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sometimes I would use the store to sort of beat myself up a little bit. Like, oh, I'm not as cool as that place. And so all of that ties into imposter syndrome. So I've done it proudly and I've done it happily, but it's also like, we're human, right? We drive ourselves crazy with little things. My little thing was, I felt like I was always sort of flying by the seat of my pants, which I was, which I 100% was. We moved into that store across the road, and my mom died. Like, while we were starting the store, everything just had to go, and we had to just keep on going forward and keep on doing our best. And that's sort of how I run the store. Like, I just do things as they need to be done, and I've never like sat down and like done like a plan for 2025. You know what I mean? Like, I've never done those organized business things.
It's just not you.
Just not me.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit more about opening across the street and your mom passing away?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it was crazy.
How long ago was this?
22 years ago. Yeah.
So you had a little Quonset hut or something across the street?
That's where we were moving into.
I'm a new guy in town, so I need you to describe that a little bit more for me.
So it was owned by the Skookum Dodge, which is now Haley Dodge.
Okay.
And so it was like, I guess at one point it might have been like their office building or something. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then the Quonset hut was in the back. That was just like very like where they might have done mechanic stuff. Like it was a really worn down building. But yeah, well, so Dave and I moved here by the seat of our pants.
To the coast.
And we didn't know, like, we knew that he wanted to do furniture, but we didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
And it was all very quick. We sold our house in Vancouver and moved here, and all our friends were like, what? Where are you going? And so we got here, and then Dave was doing furniture out of our carport for a very short time, and that wasn't awesome. And so then he got himself this crazy little barn in Roberts Creek, and he worked out of the barn for maybe a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't tenable. It wasn't working really very well. And so then it just sort of fell in our lap, and we're like, oh, retail? Okay. And so we got the space, and then again, flying by the seat of our pants. The boys were 4 years old and 1 year old. And then my mom died. And she was like my best friend, and she lived with Dave and I. And yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard. But this community is amazing. Like, I had friends come the night before we were opening, and I was almost catatonic. Like, I was functioning, but like, I kind of don't even really remember that first year. Like, your brain does funny things to sort of protect yourself too, right? And, but I had people coming and helping us get all things together to open up the next day. And, you know, I mean, it's life, right?
What role did your mom play in inspiring your desire to set up in a Quonset hut and open a retail store?
She was just an emotional support. She was amazing. She had a lot of confidence in Dave and I. She just thought we could do whatever we wanted. And that's how she sort of raised me too. And so that sort of gives you a bit of confidence to do things that you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I do wonder what possesses Jackie and Dave to look at a beat down old Quonset hut and say, this is where we're setting up shop. Like what inspired them? Like, yep, we're doing it here and we're doing it now.
Yeah, I think it was just like availability. It was there.
Yeah.
And it was on the highway, which felt good, right? And it was, so this building, like this store, used to be a store called the Swallow's Nest. And she was probably here maybe about a year or so before we opened up at the Quonset hut. And so it was really nice having that bounce back traffic, you know, because she had a really cool store with fun furniture and decor. And so, I don't know, it was the right place, the right time.
Let's just do this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we do everything.
Was there at that point just kind of an impatience to it?
Yeah, well, we needed him out of the barn.
Okay.
And we needed a spot to sell his stuff. And we knew that working out of the carport of our house was not going to work either.
And so you're literally setting it up, and you find out that your mom passes away.
Well, she lived with us. Like, I found her. Like, she died suddenly and unexpectedly. She had, like, we'd made her like a little suite in our house. And so she went downstairs. She's like, good night, Jack, I love you. I said, good night, Mom, I love you. And then I was going to bed probably around 11 o'clock at night. And I went downstairs. I saw that her light was on her door. And so what are you doing? Still up. But she wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. Because also, like you just said, you had to get this shop open.
Exactly. And I had kids too, right? Like, you just, you know, like with life, you just don't really have the luxury to like turtle for too long, right?
Yeah.
And so just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
But then throwing a store in there when you don't even know what you're doing.
And then you really don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, it worked. And she'd be so proud. Like, she'd be ridiculously proud of us, so.
You think?
Mm-hmm.
Tucked inside a forest of evergreens just off the main highway on the Sunshine Coast is Sunday Cider, a small cidery built on the same property that Clinton McDougall and his family lives on.
Dom, is that you?
Clinton, where are you? Out back?
I'm around back. Come around back.
Yeah, okay, I'm coming. When I popped by last week, I found him, well, in the middle of something. What are you doing, buddy?
Just cleaning the cider tank.
Show me what's inside this thing.
Yeah, you can here, stick your head in. Hello?
Any cider in there?
No, that's an empty cider tank, all right.
That's empty. So in about 10 days' time, this is going to get filled with fresh organic apple juice. And in this cool weather, it'll slowly start fermenting and turning into Sunday cider.
So is there a cider right now that you're most excited about than you are of everything else you have available?
Oh yeah, the Night Rider is one that I'm absolutely loving right now, and that is one of the ciders that we co-ferment with some wine grapes, and this is the deepest, darkest cider that we've ever done, and it's a banger.
Well, this is what Sunday cider looks like today.
Yeah.
Every year you're building more and more. I've been talking to Jackie Coyle about building Dave Coyle's the retail shop, and now it's closing.
Yeah, it's kind of an end of an era. I mean, their pieces live in the homes of my friends and my family. And even just the idea of how he used to take old barn wood and build these beautiful things.
Yeah.
That ethos has influenced us here at Sunday Cider. We took this old cedar shack that started as a garage and turned it into a cider house. I think there's a little bit of a similarity there somehow. And funny side note, when I first moved to Vancouver, the first job I had was working in an old antique furniture store. And I met Dave Coyle there, and he used to bring his furniture over from the Sunshine Coast.
Come on.
Yeah. Hi, Dave. It's Clinton from Sunday Cider, back in the day at Folk Art.
I'll let you get back to washing your tank.
All right. Thanks, Dom.
Bye, Dom.
See ya. That is Clinton McDougall with Sunday Cider. Find them online at sundaycider.com. Now let's get back to Jackie, but also go back in time to before Coyles was Coyles, and back to a moment in her life when she first realized she might be destined to become a retailer.
So I'm from Ontario originally, and my uncle had died of Alzheimer's. But my uncle was a big picker. And so we went to my auntie's cottage, and she had these 3 outbuildings, and they were full. They were just full of a person who's a picker, but that also had Alzheimer's. And so like they were just full of like random stuff that a lot of people wouldn't see the value of.
What's a picker?
A good example of my Uncle Lou was the Chinese embassy in Ottawa was a nunnery. And when they sold it and they were converting it, they were just pulling stuff out of the nunnery to convert it. And my Uncle Lou would go there every day, and he would stand there. And they would bring out like this hand-carved molding, and he'd be like, I'll take that, and windows and just everything. And so that was my Uncle Lou. He saw the value in all of the old stuff.
Yeah.
So we were there, and Uncle Lou had passed away, and my Auntie Joyce was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff. And Dave said, well, I'll take it.
I'll pick it.
Exactly. And so he got a U-Haul, and he drove a packed U-Haul truck across Canada 3 times.
He went back and wow.
Like not back to back to back,
Sure,
but he,
but
yeah. And then once he finally had all of Uncle Lou's stuff, then he was going picking himself, and he would go to different places, because that's a thing, like, or it used to be. It's less now.
Where are you in this interest?
I don't know. Like, I'm pretty easygoing, like and I don't mean that like I'm a pushover, but I'm pretty go with the flow. And it wasn't like I said, we didn't sit down and like, this is what we're going to do. Like, it was just sort of like, well, this is what we're doing. And now this is what we're doing. And oh my God, we're doing this, right?
But you never knew that you were going to grow up and run a store one day.
And I don't know if you told me that, I'd be like, because I don't like shopping.
You don't like shopping?
I'm not a shopper. Like, it's ridiculous. That's why I have the imposter syndrome stuff, because I don't fit that typical, like, if my girlfriends want to, like, go shopping, I'm like, ugh.
Right.
Why?
Right.
However, I will say this. When I would go to the Toronto Gift Show to buy for the store, I liked that. I really enjoyed that. So I don't know what the difference is.
What do you think?
Maybe because most of the stuff at the Toronto Gift Show is junk. And so it was like like my detective work. Like, I would find the stuff that I liked.
You're picking.
Yeah, maybe, exactly.
You didn't even know you were doing it.
That's right.
Yeah. But what you're saying is that this store is owned and operated by somebody who doesn't like to shop. So this is what it looks like. This is what you get.
That?
Well, I mean, you've been in business successfully for a long time, so
Yeah.
I think you could go ahead and admit that. That sounds like a business lesson right
Cat's
there.
out of the bag now. Yeah, but that's the honest truth.
That's amazing. I want to come back to this idea that you didn't realize how much of a sort of a stake in the ground this shop has been to this community.
Never occurred to me, to be honest. Like, it just, like there's a lot of stores
Sure.
and it's been eye-opening. It's been really touching.
But it hasn't occurred to you that this feels like a distinctively Sunshine Coast shop that could only exist on the Sunshine Coast?
I don't know that I would have thought of it like that, but that does ring true. Like, I feel a little bit sorry for the coast that we won't be here because it is cool. It is quirky. It is weird. And like, people, they'll bring their guests, their family that are visiting. They make it an event to come here. So I do get the loss for people, actually.
Well, it's like you said earlier. It sounds like the universe gave you a nudge. Mm-hmm. That you weren't looking for permission, but you got to whisper, basically.
Exactly. But now it's getting louder. The ghost is actually talking to me because my cash register has now died.
Your cash register died?
So for 19 years, we hand wrote our invoices.
Uh-huh.
And then I broke down and got a cash register a couple of years ago, and it's just died like 3 days ago. So I feel like the universe is now saying, get out.
That's super creepy.
I'm like, okay.
I swear, if something falls during this interview, it better be on tape. When the developers bought this building, did anyone offer you a retail space?
For sure, yeah.
So why not take it?
Because I'm topped up. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the building coming down. Honestly, it almost feels like I can just have closure. I can wrap a nice, neat bow on this and say, this is what I did. And I'm super proud of it. I feel like it's just a really nice way to
Close the book.
And would I open up a new book? I don't know. Would I do that? I don't think so.
I can't imagine that this building and this business isn't kind of a member of the family in a way.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah.
Right.
I have absolute affection for it.
Yeah. And your kids have run through here, I'm sure, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember 80s sitcoms? And when the last episode tends to always end with the set is empty, right? And the mom or the dad or all the takes one last look, then walks away, and the lights go down. There's no music, and the credits start rolling.
Yeah.
Do you have a version of that in your head for this space?
I just saw it. I just saw it.
Did you?
So that's probably what'll happen.
Yeah.
It'll just be Dave and I, and we'll just, be weird. It'll be really weird. But.
And is your mom here when you close it for the last time?
Mm-hmm. She's always. Yeah, she's here.
I first learned about Coyles when I first thought about moving here. It was 2020. My wife Bonnie and I were touring homes for sale on the coast. One home had an antique-looking wooden cabinet in the bathroom. Our realtor pointed it out and said, "That's a Dave Coyle piece." Now, we didn't buy that house, but the one that we did buy felt like it needed a proper dining table. So we hired Dave to custom build one for us. I love that table with a kind of ferocity that inanimate wooden objects probably don't deserve. But I love that we have something in our house that was made here. It ties the room together, and it ties us to the coast too. So I was bummed to hear that the shop was closing, until I chatted with Jackie. The joy she feels for this moment is hard to ignore. Jackie is ready for the next thing, and so I'm ready to see what that next thing might be. By the way, Dave is still making furniture. You can still connect with them online, so I put some links to Coyles in the show notes to this episode. And if you're looking at the show notes, while you're there, don't forget to tap the link to our episode sponsor, Sunday Cider. I genuinely love their product, and I love the crew that makes it. So having them sponsor the podcast puts a smile on my face. So tap that link or go to sundaycider.com. Secret Sunshine is produced and hosted by me, Dominic Girard. Additional sound design support from Gaëtan Harris at Syrup Sound. The original music is performed and composed by Max Henry. Find out more about the show at secretsunshine.ca. And hey, if you're still with me and listening right now, can you do me a solid? If you haven't already done so, could you give the show a rating on whatever podcast player that you're on? And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leaving a review really helps other people find the show. So what do you think? If you've got a second, could you help spread the word? Thanks so much for listening. There's lots more to come.
Bye, Dom.
See ya!